Hello and welcome. This will be a reading for Gemini for October 2023. Welcome to the table, Gemini. I have pre-shuffled the cards, but I will shuffle them again for you. I'll be using a 10-card spread with 5 cards along the top row and 5 cards along the bottom row. I'll be talking about those cards and then I'll be overlaying them with a second deck of cards, and once again I'll be talking about those cards. This will be a reading probably around about 30 minutes in duration. And I do have an oracle deck, and I'll draw a card from the oracle deck towards the end of the reading, so you can wait for that if you'd like to, or the reading will be complete in itself. The flowers are from my garden, and the crystals have been in their salt bath. I do hope you enjoy them. First card out, Knight of Cups in reverse, Death in the upright position, the Fool in the reverse position, Page of Swords in the upright position, and the Six of Wands in the upright position, Nine of Cups in the reverse position, Four of Pentacles in the reverse position, the Chariot in the upright position, the Sun in the reverse position, Three of Wands in the reverse position, and what have we got there? Eight of Cups in the reverse position. Okay, don't worry about the reverse cards because I don't always read them in the reverse aspect. I just wait to feel what the energy is coming off the card. Sometimes it's positive even though it's in the reverse aspect. And the Sun card is always positive even when it's in reverse. So it just adds a whole new energy to the table. So don't despair if the cards are in the reverse position. Now we've got the Knight of Cups. He's in reverse, and so I do feel that this is a sense of you not being happy with what's around you, and I feel like you're turning your back. This is, don't look backwards to look towards opportunities that have already passed, because anything that's already passed, any love connections or any romances, things that are in the past, they're already over, and you would have grabbed hold of those connections if they were important to you at the time. So don't look backwards and then sort of think, oh, if only I'd done that, because the circumstances have changed now and it may not be the right time anymore to look backwards. So if you are looking backwards on an old romance or an old connection, my recommendation is that you look forward rather than looking backwards, because it doesn't really achieve anything looking backwards, because both of you will have moved on somewhat and the energy will not be the same. The opportunities that come your way are meant to be grabbed hold of as they arrive. And that's the same energy I'm getting here off this Eight of Cups energy. So this is also making sure that you don't look backwards. Don't sort of feel, oh, I wish I hadn't walked away from that because now I'm a little bit sorry. Because that energy of walking away from something, usually at that point when you actually commit to walking away, you've already thought about that for quite some time before you make that decision to walk away. Very few of us actually walk away from everything on a very sort of spur of the moment decision, because it's quite a big decision when you walk away from your connections or your past life. So don't sort of look backwards and think, oh, I wish I hadn't done that, because you wouldn't have known actually what would have happened if you had have stayed. So don't be under any illusion. Don't be sort of telling yourself stories about, well, yes, but it would have been better if I had have stayed, because if you've made that decision to walk away, and if you made that decision to put those connections behind you, then I'm sure that was the right decision at the time. So don't be tempted to look backwards and then try and correct the painting, so to speak. If you've walked away from a painting, then it is time to finish. Now here we've got Death. So Death is in the upright position. It's telling me that you're starting a new life, and it's quite a strong card, often a little bit frightening, but you shouldn't be frightened of this. This is telling me that whatever it is, the emotional things that you left behind, if you've given up an emotional connection of some sort, then, and you may have given up multiple connections. If you move house, for example, or you change jobs, then you often lose the connection of the people that you're with at the time. Sometimes you can try and maintain those connections, but it's not always very successful. Now, Death is telling me that you are moving on, and it's probably a good thing that you're moving on. You have to let those things flow into the past. And it's no amount of sort of standing there and looking into the golden sunset and sort of thinking that everything is beautiful in the golden light, because we don't stay in perpetual sunsets where, you know, the light keeps changing around us. Each new day starts with the sunrise and goes with the sunset. Sometimes we become a little bit sentimental in the sunset, but, you know, that sentiment is not really required here. Death is not sentimental in the sense that, and this is kind of the brutality of the symbol here, is that it comes for everybody regardless of how much pleading or begging. And as you can see here, this bishop is pleading and begging, you know, thinking perhaps that he might be spared. But no, you know, the emotional connections for all of us, there are times when we all need to leave something behind. Now, we've got the Fool here. This death is telling me that you're starting a new journey. But the Fool here is telling me that there's some reluctance on your part, perhaps, to start this new journey. This is stepping into the golden light. This is a journey where you don't necessarily stop to perceive what the consequences may be of taking that initial step. This is just carefree. I'm just going to do it, making a rash decision and just stepping off and going your own way. But there can be a sense of, you know, stepping back, you know, having decided, yes, I'm taking a new journey, and then getting that little bit of pulling back, that little bit of a shock. Oh, hang on just a moment. I actually probably didn't consider this very well, and maybe I should investigate a little bit further. And now here's this Page of Wands. This Page of Wands is actually doing some more investigating. This is someone who's looking at making inquiries and looking at the world around them. Can be somebody who's learning or studying, but this person is, you know, asking a lot of questions. They're looking at what's behind each cloud, so to speak, and sort of saying, well, what happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? They're sort of weighing up their circumstances, and they're also listening to their intuition. So, you know, whereas the Fool may have been, this is an action card, so he may not have listened to his intuition. He may have just stepped forward and decided to take a chance. I'm just taking a chance and off I go. Well, the fact that that card's in reverse and the Page of Wands is the next card up, I think what's happening is you decided to perhaps investigate a little bit further. You're going to make some more inquiries before you proceed. But I think once you make those inquiries, I think there's a period here of success towards the end of October. So this card is telling me that the action that you take somewhere along the line, perhaps in October, or this could actually be the fruits of your labours from previous months, there's a sense of victory here and some accolades and maybe some appreciation. And this could be in your work environment as well, where you're suddenly appreciated or given recognition for the hard work that you've put in. So that's quite a nice card. I don't think there's any worries about this card, and the very fact that that's at the end of the month, and this sort of more difficult energy is at the beginning of the month, that can be just a little bit of I'll call it a pothole that you step into. Sometimes we step into a little pothole and we start looking backwards, and it really serves us no purpose, because we can only move forward in life. We cannot move backwards. Now, you may be feeling that not everything you've wished for has come to fruition. Things are kept hidden from us sometimes when the time is not quite right to bring something forward. You know, that we would all like to be able to see into the future, and all we can do is look into the past. And this is that sort of card. The fact that it's in reverse is telling me that perhaps, you know, you again, a bit of this looking into the past, saying, oh, well, I would have done this or I would have done that. We are not wise enough to know that when we're sitting there at the moment. Only the future is in front of us, and sometimes we're lucky and a lot of things come our way, and other times we just sort of have to grin and bear what comes our way, because it's not always positive. The wheel of fortune and the wheel of life keeps turning, and sometimes we're on a sort of a lucky streak and it feels like everything's going your way, and other times it feels a little bit like none of your wishes are coming true. But that's not the case, because you can't, you know, if you just look at the card there, you can't see what's coming. You can't see what cups are on offer to you. So we're not always in that position where we are able to look far enough ahead to see what. what the consequences of our actions will be. Now, the consequences of your actions of walking away, you don't know what you're carrying with you. You still carry your emotional baggage with you. You can walk away from people, and that means perhaps that you may not be affected by those people, but the way you behave and how you treat others and your attitude to life will bring you a new set of emotions and a new set of connections with people. And I guess there's always that need for you to be a little bit introspective and to analyze how you contribute to your, the connections that you make, to the positive outcomes in your life. And if we're sort of a little bit foolhardy and reckless, and we just do things without stopping to think, well, then sometimes we might, that there's the excitement of just doing something rash, but sometimes we need to pay the price for our reckless decisions. So this is where the Page of Swords investigates a little bit more carefully and is a little bit more controlled, perhaps, in how he goes about going forward in his life. Now here we've got the Four of Pentacles. Now this can be holding on a little bit too tightly to your finances, or also being a little bit rigid in your outlook in life. So maybe you are feeling that your financial circumstances are constraining you. That could be the case, that you feel like you're not able to move as freely as you would like to. And I'm getting a sense here that perhaps you would like to move more freely through life, but maybe you are a little bit constrained by your financial circumstances. And again, here's this Chariot card. So this is the twin energy, a little bit like Gemini anyway. Will I go this way? Will I go that way? This is a very driven and very focused energy. This can be somebody who wants both things. Now, if we go this way, we can't have that. So sometimes we want everything, and that isn't always possible. So this is quite a fast energy coming in. So that's underneath the Fool. So this is an energy of sort of making moves and changes and driving towards your goals. So the fact that this Fool here is in reverse, perhaps you take that first step and then sort of pull back, but then there's this energy here of driving forward. Now you've got the Sun here, so this is quite a positive energy, even though it's in the reverse aspect. So the Sun is usually talking about success and vitality, good health, joyousness, happiness, and all things that are beautiful. And it can also talk about the birth of a child, just in case any of you are pregnant and awaiting a child. This is talking about the birth of a child. So you've driving forward, you're aiming for success and you just want happiness. You're very focused on achieving your happiness. You don't want any of this negativity. You don't want any sadness. You don't want anything that isn't going to bring you the kind of happiness that you want. You're very, very focused, I think, here on achieving a state of happiness. Now here we've got the Three of Wands. So the Three of Wands is being prepared to turn your back. Now it's quite clear that you are prepared to turn your back on things that don't serve you well. You are prepared to turn your back on anything that doesn't serve you well. You're always ready to look forward and grab the next best opportunity. So this is a card here giving me the indication that you are willing to grab any opportunity that comes your way. But you also sometimes need to be a little bit patient for that opportunity to come towards you. So being ready, I guess the best thing you can do, and what I always suggest, is be ready for a new opportunity to come your way, so that if it turns up, you can grab it with both hands and go. So take care of your business behind the scenes, so that if a golden opportunity comes your way, you're ready just to say, yes, I accept that opportunity, and then you're ready to go. So that, when a good offer lands on your table and somebody says, but I need you to start this job tomorrow, you can say, yes, well, I've tidied up everything behind me, I'm ready to go. So far this reading is talking about you wanting a state of happiness, and you're determined to pursue that. And then being a little bit cautious about how you're going to achieve that. But do reflect on any connections that you're looking backwards, because that the looking backwards, everything behind you will have changed anyway. So nothing stays static, even if you want to go backwards. Other people may have just continued to move forward. So things aren't ever the same, even if you do step backwards. I'm going to use this tarot deck. This is also, the cards have been very well shuffled, but I'll shuffle them again for you. Oh dear, made a terrible mess again. Always when I'm trying not to disturb the cards on the table, it turns out messy. I shouldn't be so concerned about that. I'll just give them a shuffle so you can see that it's done. But the pursuit of happiness is always a positive thing. I think that's the best way to go. Nobody wants to be unhappy, and so you do have this victory card. So this is quite a positive outcome towards the end of the month. Okay, actually I might cut the deck. There we go. First card out, Ace of Cups. See, there's this a sense of disappointment, I think. I think there's a strong sense of disappointment for you somewhere. And for some reason here we've got the Knight of Pentacles on top of the Death. So the energy is coming in slowly, but it's not here yet. Again, we've got this Five of Cups, this sense of remorse, regret, grief, disappointment. We've got quite a lot of the Four of Cups. Is that the Four? Oh, it's the Six of Cups. So again, there's this nostalgia. I couldn't count the cups. I'm not very good at numbers, especially when they're upside down. Okay, and we've got here, this is the Page of Wands. What have we got there? These are a bit hard to read upside down. Eight of Swords in reverse. Eight of Cups in the upright position. This is Strength, I believe. That's Strength, unless, oh, it could be, actually, I think it's the Ace of Wands. A little bit unusual. These cards, the portrayal on these cards are a little bit unusual. Okay, and we've got the Fool again. So actually, this is quite good because this is under this Page of Swords and it's a little step further along. So it is telling me that you're more ready. Somehow here there was a little bit of wanting to go backwards, and here at the end of the month I think you're more prepared to go forward. And what have we got here? We've got the Nine of Swords. Okay, and let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so we've got the Page of Cups in reverse. All right, let's have a talk about these cards. So Ace of Cups is usually great happiness coming in towards you. Now it's in the reverse aspect, so I'm feeling very much that this is a card where you're a little bit disappointed in the things that are coming your way. Perhaps you feel that it's not enough, or the offers that are coming your way, the emotional offers and connections, are less than you'd hoped for. That's more or less what I'm getting here, that the emotional connections are less than you'd hoped for. Or perhaps there are less people in your life than you had hoped for, less really positive connections than you'd hoped for. Now we've got the Knight of Pentacles. So the Knight of Pentacles is slow-moving energy coming towards you. This can be money, a job offer, but it's slow. It's on top of the Death, so perhaps you're looking for a new job, and you know you're saying, well, I'd like this job to come in, but the offers look like they're coming in quite slowly. So you may need to be a little bit patient about this this Knight of Pentacles coming in. Now we've got the Five of Cups. So this is a period of grief or mourning over the loss of someone. This can also, as you can see, you've got a lot of sort of cups in reverse. So that's telling me that there's a little bit of disappointment in your life. There could be grief in your life here. And very much that you're reflecting on things that might have been or that used to be. So this is an energy of might have been or used to be. So, you know, you could be missing your emotional connections if anyone's passed out of your life. People may have moved away into a new city, and, you know, or you may have moved into a new place, and therefore your emotional connections are more removed than they used to be. It's harder to maintain strong emotional connections if one person is removed from another by some great distance. It's much more difficult. So here we've got this nostalgia card again, Six of Cups, remembering what it was like in your childhood or when you were young. So when we were young is always a lovely energy to reflect upon, but we all move on, we all get older. We need to adjust to our new circumstances. So there are lilies in this cup, and lilies are about young and youthful and new growth and innocence. So this is a remembrance of younger times when you were younger and carefree, but it's also letting you know that those times are over, and you know, the life becomes more complicated. The older you get, the more complicated your life becomes. And sometimes you would like to be able to just step into this clean energy, be young again, and just have a clear mind without the encumbrances that come with getting older, you know, because we get families, we get cars, we get mortgages, we get jobs. It's much more difficult to move and be free in the way you move through life once all of those commitments come into your life. When you're a child and when you're youthful, a teenager, or first coming out of university or school, it's much easier to go forward, and it's much easier to stay connected with school friends and, you know, people from our youth than it is as you get older and you have, you know, children and jobs and mortgages and all of the entrapments that we all find in our life as we progress through life. Now here is this, I think this is the Page of Wands. I thought it might have been the Ace of Wands, but I think it's the Page of Wands. It doesn't look like an ace. So the Page of Wands is wishing for a new opportunity, wishing that you had a little bit more fire and energy, a little bit more drive and a little bit more push. And this also could be a bit of an offer coming towards you, but you know, this is where you're at the very beginning of the offer and you need to still drive home quite a lot of, you need to expend a lot of energy to drive the project home. So if you're working on something, you know, you've started your journey and you're kind of reflecting on what you've already achieved, but you may need to go that little bit further to achieve this victory and this success. But for everything that you do, I think it's important that you remember what you've achieved, and that's part of the problem. Sometimes we're so busy that we forget to remember what we've managed to achieve so far. And particularly when you need to put it in context, if you're getting older and you're married and got children and a home and a job, it's much more difficult to drive all your projects and all your desires home when you have got so many different things that are tugging at your energy. Now here we've got the Eight of Swords in reverse, so any sense of feeling trapped, and this is mental entrapment, so a little bit sort of like being Rapunzel in the castle. You know, perhaps you can come down from your castle, let yourself out of your bondage and move on. You know, we don't need to stay trapped in our circumstances. Sometimes we just need to have a change of mind and use some explorative thoughts to sort of figure out a way to move forward. So that's that energy. The Eight of Swords is telling me that you're coming out of that because that's in the reverse aspect. So I think you will find this Page of Swords will help to clarify your thoughts through the month. Now we've got the Eight of Cups. So again, we've got this Eight of Cups here and we've got the Eight of Cups here. So I do feel that you will continue to walk away from things that are no longer serving you. I think you will realize that there's no point in pouring tons of energy into commitments that no longer serve you. So this is very much this strong energy of walking away, and that could be, as I said, you may move house, or the people that you cared for very much may have moved on. Sometimes it's just, you sort of think, how much energy do I need to expend to maintain these connections? And you decide perhaps that it's not worth it. So here we've got the Knight of Wands. This is much more powerful energy. As you can see, a knight is always faster moving energy, stronger, more vitality. So you've also got this Page of Wands, but then here you've got this Knight of Wands, and it's on top of the Chariot. Now the Knight of Wands is already fast moving energy, but here on top of the Chariot makes it very, very fast. So it looks like somehow or another you are going to get a real charge of vitality. You're going to feel happy because it's under the rainbow. So rainbow tells us about hope and, you know, a shooting star. So there we get the shooting star. So it's telling you that You are going to get this opportunity. You will find this vitality. You will find this enthusiasm, and you will be driving this forward with a passion because it's on top of the Chariot. So you're very driven, I think, at the moment to pursue these interests or these creative urges that you have. You're very determined. Your emotional things are a little bit sort of all turned on their head. Now, only you will know why all of your cups are in the reverse aspect, but your wands are in the upright position, so that tells me you're very driven and very determined to follow your focus on your creativity and your projects rather than your emotional connections. I think you're very focused on your projects and your creativity, so that's good. And you know, sometimes when we're focused on creative projects and getting jobs done and, you know, charging ahead with the things we'd like to do, because these are action cards, sometimes you push your emotional, not your needs, but your emotion. You're prepared to put those emotional connections on the back burner, so to speak. I'll deal with those things later. I'm not looking at that now. I've got things to do. I've got places I want to go, and I've got projects I'd like to complete. Now here on top of the Sun, see, you had this Fool card in the reverse position, and now suddenly you've got the Fool in the upright position. So this is this determination. You've stopped to have a little bit of a think about what's required. And am I going to focus on my emotional needs, or am I going to focus on my projects? I think you've decided to focus on your projects, and you are very keen to get going. So I think when you see a chance for success and happiness, you are just going to follow that. Whereas there was this little pause here for a moment, I think within the, you know, that could be mid-October. By the end of October, you're ready to move forward. You're ready to take that chance, and you're ready to follow your intuition and your guidance. You're just going to charge ahead. So that's kind of good. And they've got quite a lot of animals and birds in this particular portrayal. So I feel that you are, this can also be somebody who's on a bit of a spiritual quest and also focusing and listening to your intuition. That can also be listening to the words of your spiritual ancestors talking to you. So, you know, what is this quest that you're on? What is the journey you want to take? Sometimes it's like this can also be almost like a journey that you're following the path of ancestors in a different way. You're stepping out, but you're hearing the voices of your ancestors saying, you know, make sure you live life to the fullest, get a move on, don't just sit there and allow time to pass you by. You're prepared to take a bold step. Now here we've got this 9 of Swords, so that's in the reverse. So you've got the 8 of Swords and the 9 of Swords both in the reverse. So this is not being anxious, not being nervous, not being worried. I think you put that behind you. You know, you are prepared to wait for this opportunity, or you need to wait for this opportunity to come in. You're not going to waste any time worrying about it. This is quite positive energy, that the fact that the 8 and the 9 of Swords are both in the reverse aspect. So you're putting that anxiety, that tension, that nervousness, worrying about whether things are going to come your way or not. I think you're putting that away. So that's quite good. So that's quite a positive energy. And here we've got the Page of Cups. It's in reverse again. So I think you're not looking at all for any new emotional connections. I think you're just going to say, look, if they come my way, I'll take a look at them. In the meantime, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I think your emotional connections are definitely on the back seat at the moment. I don't think you're very focused on those sorts of things. So I think I'll leave it there for you, Gemini. I will now do an oracle card for those of you who really only wanted to see the tarot reading. I guess, you know, it is telling me that your emotional connections are definitely on hold. Any new offers that you're waiting for, or any money that you're hoping to come your way, it's coming slowly. So there are very few Pentacle cards here, and here this other 4 of Pentacles is perhaps you have to tighten your belt while you're waiting for this financial opportunity to increase. So you may need to do a little bit of belt tightening in the meantime while you're waiting for more Pentacles to come into your reading. But other than that, Look, you've got a victory card here at the end and some acknowledgement. So, you know, even if other people don't acknowledge what you do, make sure you acknowledge yourself and give yourself credit and some reward and some praise, and perhaps a little bit of a, you know, a night out or a little bit of a celebration to recognise what you have achieved and what you've put out there. But your pursuit of happiness is important to you, and I think you're going to follow that. So let's have a look at these oracle cards and we'll see if we can find something for you here. I'll also give them a manual shuffle. And I'll cut the deck there. Okay, and we'll see what we've got for you. Okay, we've got love, which is rather interesting because, as I said, your emotional connections felt like they were put on hold. And here, as you can see, the love, these are connections held together by light, held together by little fairy lights. So this is under the moon. So this is that energy of perhaps people who are further away, holding it together by communications and letters and soft connections rather than strong connections. So this is again very much a sense to me of cousins and friends and family who may be more at a distance and who you only touch connection with occasionally rather than on a daily basis. But it does bring you happiness, and you need to hang on to those little moments of bright light. The connections of love are usually quite strong, particularly with family. It's difficult to break those connections. So I guess if you are able to spend time with people from your past or people who've moved away, then enjoy that time together. They may be brief, but enjoy that and celebrate those connections. So until you make firm new connections, perhaps in your immediate surroundings, focus on those that, if they are further away, just rejoice that you still have those connections. Walk away from those that no longer feel useful to you, but celebrate all of the ones that are important to you. Thank you so much for watching, Gemini. Bye for now.